First of all, thanks for joining the Optelos podcast series. I'm here today at Georgia Pacific with Tom Potacek and Matt Ratchford. And we're here today to talk about Georgia Pacific's enterprise asset management initiatives, what they're doing in that area, and how they're using the Optelos platform. Matt, Tom, thanks for taking the time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
I guess to start, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us about your role at Georgia Pacific?
Yeah, so I'm Matt Ratchford. I'm Director of Innovation here at Georgia Pacific and over a lot of things digital these days. So there's IoT devices, our unmanned inspections, which is drones and other vehicles that really just carry IoT sensors. And then we've also got analytics efforts that we're working on.
So I'm Tom Potacek. I'm a Director of Innovation here at Georgia Pacific, focused on the use of robotics for inspection purposes. And I'm leading up a team that we called the Unmanned Vehicle Inspection Program.
So you guys have utilized the Optelos platform here at Georgia Pacific in a lot of different ways, managing a lot of different sources of data. But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about your enterprise asset management initiatives in general, and what led you into this this program.
Yeah.
So we started working with drones a few years ago as a means to apply this newer technology to enhance our operations by reducing cost and getting people out of harm's way. And it's grown into a program we call the Unmanned Vehicle Inspection Program that Matt and I are leading, that provides us the ability to get these devices into spaces and,
Yeah, I mean, we started just looking at, the way that we were doing inspections, a lot of it during outage work, and you're having to put people into dangerous situations. It's hot, it's a confined space. It takes a long time to wait for the equipment to cool down, be able to enter in, sometimes erect scaffolding. But more than that, we're able to get in with a drone and keep people out of that area completely. If you look at a person that's having to get inside of a boiler, climb to the top of the boiler, get up there and do an inspection, the data that they're capturing is pretty minimal, right? I mean, they're looking at it, they're exhausted at the top of the boiler, ready to get out of there. And when we get in there with a drone, we quickly realize that we're keeping people safer. We're able to get in there sooner when the boiler is still cooling down, and we're able to capture high resolution 4K images and pictures that just created a tremendous value for us. The sales that we had to do to get our facilities excited about it was minimal. They immediately recognized that this was a better way to perform those types of inspections.
Right, that's kind of been a basis for even expanding on that. You guys are using crawlers and now looking at other robotic devices and lots of other ways to collect information in those dangerous or places where safety is a real concern.
Yeah, I think we look at drones as just a IoT platform, right? It's a way to carry sensors, and it doesn't have to be limited to a drone, right? Initially, we were, drones were the tool we were using. And I think as we got in more and more, we recognized that there's some places a drone can't fly, or there's battery limitations around drones, and so we need to be agnostic to what vehicle we're placing these sensors on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have a lot more visual data coming into your program, sounds like, than you ever had before, right? That's whether it be videos or whether it be images, fixed images.
When we started the drone program, we realized right away that we're going to be gathering a bunch of information. And early on, when we started, we had a number of different sources of data from different vendors, and we were getting in all kinds of different forms. And we knew that we had to develop something that could manage all that information. And that's when we learned about Optelos and started that partnership, which now allows us to very efficiently stream everything from all sources through one funnel into our data management platform.
Right. Yeah, I know that's been a big improvement for you guys. And even just going forward, as you mentioned, it's not just as we think of drone data today, of visual data or videos, but I think you even refer to IoT data or you refer to your drone data as IoT data in a lot of cases, because it's just a new set of information that can help you make better decisions.
Yeah, if we look back at when we started the program, the data was a bookcase full of 3-ring binders that had all the inspections on it, right?
Yeah.
And then as we got in and we're having facilities regularly fly drones and collect inspections, the data source became a stack of SD cards sitting on their computer, right? And we quickly realized, like, this is not sustainable, and we're not sharing the knowledge in the ways that we need to, right? One of the values of digital data is that it can be, shared across sites easily, right?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. And again, thanks for taking the time today. Maybe start by telling us a little bit about your enterprise asset management initiatives at Georgia Pacific. I know you guys have tons of external assets. I think you've got something like 170 something locations throughout the country. A lot of complex infrastructure that needs a lot of maintenance activity, I assume. Tell me a little bit about the challenges there in terms of your enterprise asset management initiatives.
Yeah, so we have, I believe, 155 operating manufacturing facilities, and then a handful of additional facilities for warehouse and real estate purposes. Yeah. And they range from large pulp and paper mills that are really a combination of a chemical facility and a converting operation, and they've got their own on-site power generation and a pulping operation to make paper, all the way down to corrugated box facilities or Dixie plates and cups, and all of those assets require maintenance. We've got lots of embedded sensors and intelligence from it, but oftentimes we have to get in there and get eyes on the problem, especially during annual outage time, and that's where we really got tied into the asset performance opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah, as Matt mentioned, our processes are incredibly capital intensive, and all those capital assets need a lot of maintenance, and before we do maintenance, we have to understand what condition they're in. So we routinely are putting people into dangerous situations, either in confined spaces, working at heights, on water, underwater, to do these inspections. And we've developed a program. It started with flying drones and now has evolved into multiple vehicles to carry different sensor platforms so that we can provide those inspection services without putting people in harm's way.
Right. And it sounds like one of the big issues that you've had, how do you bring all that information together, right, to drive that decision process? It sounds like one of the challenges is just the varied source of data. So you have drone data, and sounds like you're now going to even crawlers and robots. And how do you see that as a challenge, bringing all that data into your decision logic?
So as Tom mentioned, as we got into this, we were really focused on the safety benefits, right? Keeping people out of dangerous situations. And we've kind of looked at it and we said, our program can help save lives, it can save time, we can get inspections done quicker, and it can save money because inspection with a remote vehicle is lower cost than erecting scaffolding.
Right.
But as we got into it, we recognized the data side, right? And it really was, if we looked at how data was captured in the past, we had bookcases full of 3-ring binders, and that's where your asset knowledge was, right? Because people were taking notes, writing it down, maybe snapping a picture. Yeah. And we started utilizing drones, and those bookcases full of binders became stacks of SD cards, right? And we realized that that's not how we want to manage this data long term, right? That it doesn't have the compliance that we need around that data, but also it inhibits the ability to share it, right? Yeah. So we look for, is there a tool that we can upload all this data to be able to quickly search and share it across the enterprise so that we can really gain insights across all the different asset types we have, and not have that knowledge siloed at any individual facility.
Right. And it sounds like that's really what led you into looking for partner solutions, and sounds like what led you to Optelos is really from the data management side initially, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Initially we said, this isn't that hard, it's just a file storage system. We'll build it ourselves, right? And that's always a concern when you say that, but we, looking at it, we felt like it was something we could create an upload system and a file storage, and we got a month or two into that project and realized that it's a lot more complex than that. Yeah. And just because we can put things in file folders doesn't mean that we're really gaining value from it, right?
Right.
Replacing a bookcase with a digital bookcase is not where we want to go. So that's when we recognize that, hey, there's people that do this for a living and that are a lot better at it than we are, and we got to partner with those experts.
Right. Well, we're glad you recognize that.
Let me add, it wasn't even that we had a stack of SD cards. We had some SD cards and some USB drives, and somebody putting it in Dropbox, right?
Right.
And we even had a situation where somebody's SD card, where they had it stored, got blown away in the wind, and they lost all their data, right? So we realized really quickly that we needed a means to efficiently get all this data safely into a place with the right tags, with the ability to annotate so that we could manage that before we started gaining the terabytes that we're now seeing.
One of the other things I know we've talked about is the ability to share data across your organization, because you have site level people that need to look at it, you have corporate, you have people in different operation functions that need to look at the data. How's the Aptellis platform helps you in that regard?
Yeah, I think that's one of the great benefits. I mean, we're at this point we're collecting close to 100 gigabytes a week of various data types, right? That we're able to load in Aptellis. Those files you can't come close to emailing, 4K videos, and even being able to just host them somewhere. It's complicated, right? And what Aptellis gives us is a single place where that data is stored, and an easy way to provide, security at different levels, locking down folders, allowing sharing of certain things, and at that executive level, right? They're not interested in downloading an app or reading instructions. We need to be able to send them a link and say, hey, I need you to look at this video, right? Here's a 4K video of a boiler inspection. We think you'd find it valuable. We need a way that they can open that email, click a link, and boom, they're there watching the video. Right. That's what Aptellis has given us, is that really simple interface that we can spread information and knowledge across the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, may I add, one of the things, when we first looked, we were just looking for a place to store the data, right? One of the unintended kind of tremendous advantages that we see with Aptellis is that it facilitates sharing of files types that otherwise we have a hard time looking at if you don't have the appropriate software loaded on your computer. Right. For example, if you want to look at a AutoCAD drawing, up until we had Aptellis in place, we had to have that installed on your computer to be able to see it. Now anybody in the company can see those AutoCAD drawings.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's when we knew that the solution in Aptellis was the way to go, was that we were using it for our data, and as we started sharing it with other people in the enterprise, they saw other data sites that they had, right, that we weren't even thinking of, like CAD files or 360 training models, that they were struggling with the same challenges of how do you organize and classify and be able to quickly share this information. Yeah. And they started putting it in, sometimes with your help, sometimes out of the box, into Aptellis, and right. It's just gained in the adoption of the platform and really seeing it as a visual data tool.
What has that done for you guys on the collaboration side of being able to get more of your resource involved in looking at potential problems? Has that been a benefit for Georgia Pacific?
It definitely, I mean, it's a tool that other people see value in, so it makes it easier for us to engage with other groups because we have something that they want to have access to.
Yeah.
So it has opened some doors for us, yes.
Yeah, that's great. We're of course glad to hear that. You guys are also looking at adding AI, obviously, to your decision logic, and a lot of companies are doing that. And how do you see using the Aptellis platform around some of the AI, especially the computer vision AI that you're looking at?
Yeah, I think the roadmap for any data type, whether it's a image, a video, or even just time series data, is the same. You're collecting data, right? Finding a way to collect it. We've been implementing programs to digitize the paperwork, right? So if we're going around and doing environmental inspections, we're now doing that on a tablet, and it's digital, right? So we're collecting data in a new way. We're organizing the data, and that's where Aptellis is really helpful. Right. Beyond that, though, you have to be able to analyze the data, and none of this matters unless you can deliver insights back, right? And so while we've been focused on building out this data repository, we always knew the end goal was to be able to deliver actionable intelligence to our facility so that they can make better decisions. And that's where we're excited. We've got the terabytes of data that we've collected over the prior year, and we're at a point where we need to be able to deliver those insights, right? Start training up some computer vision models, and allowing the computers really to help guide us towards how to gain intelligence out of that information.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the things that we definitely see as a huge benefit of the platform, is providing that visualization, but also aggregating the various data sources you talk about. So as you bring in, whether it be visual data from crawlers or robots or drones, but also you mentioned IoT data in a lot of places, and being able to aggregate that within the Aptellis platform sounds like that is a big benefit for you as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think the number of kind of internal customers for this data is it continues to amaze us. We started out focusing on operations capabilities and primarily your maintenance, asset health teams, as we got out there, we realized the controllers, your finance team, they really care about the volumes of inventory that you have on site, and all of that data we can leverage Optelos to provide. We've got environmental teams that love it for renewing stormwater permits because they can see the slope of the land, right? We got safety teams that are excited about it. The attorneys see value in being able to, go back and understand incidents that occurred and make improvements to how we operate. So,
and not just see it, but actually take measurements off of it, which we never could do before.
Right, it's amazing. Once you have a tool that's providing you new insights, you find all kinds of ways to use. I think it's pretty good.
I really think back to the point that you guys made about the photo on the wall of the mill.
Yeah.
I really think this is going to replace that, and everybody in the facility is going to be using the Bentley model through Optelos as the map of the mill.
Yeah, just not to interrupt you, but if maybe give me a little background on that, because I know you shared that story with me one time. That's really how at the site locations historically they've monitored, they've looked at their assets. It's really through just pictures on the wall.
Yeah, in the conference rooms in our mills, there's always a photo from like a satellite view of the mill, as well as often a schematic that people routinely go to look at where we're going to route this pipe or where we're going to plan evacuation for safety purposes. And I really see that being replaced. We have big screens in all these rooms now, and I think people will be pulling up a 3D model instead of doing that. Those things are going to go away.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it's great to hear the value you guys are getting out of the platform, and it's been great to work with your team. You guys are definitely providing us a lot of insights in terms of understanding real world applications of how it scales. So that's been awesome. It's been a real pleasure for us to work with you. How's tell me a little bit about the relationship with Optelos. How has Optelos been as a partner to work with and kind of meeting your growing needs?
Yeah, so like we mentioned, we're in an innovation capability here at Georgia Pacific, and that gives us a little bit more responsibility, but also a little bit more flexibility in what we're looking for. We develop roadmaps on where we think products will go or where opportunities are, and none of those roadmaps are accurate, right? We know it when we go into it,
right?
And so instead of drawing up hard specifications and putting out RFPs and beating up vendors on pricing, we try to find partners that we can build a relationship with, right? Somebody that has a similar vision of where they want to go and that we can have trust with, right? Because we need somebody that can recognize our needs and help build that into their system as they continue to grow, and that requires a lot of trust, right? You can't contract through everything that you look for in these early stage partnerships. It's just too hard to predict what's going to be out there. So we evaluate the technical capabilities, right, and make sure that we think that the product that they have is going to meet our needs, and that the team has the technical ability to continue to grow. But really, we look for people that we trust, right?
Yeah.
And that's been one of the strongest parts of Optelos. When we came in, we had a pretty small scope on what we wanted to do.
Right, just really started on that whole data management side, right?
We got a bunch of SD cards and hard drives, and we got to put them somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And as that relationship continued to go stronger, we've grown, in how we think about Optelos and really how we're going to leverage that tool. It's all built on that trust and the comfort that we have working with you.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's, of course, from our perspective, great to hear, and appreciate you guys taking the time today, and look forward to continue this business relationship on a long-term basis. So thanks again.
We do as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Matt, Tom, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks for joining the podcast.